Open up a tab, grab a seat, and pour a pint. It's time for the Beer Guys Radio Show.
You want free beer? Go to the brewery.
Dedicated to the art, science, and enjoyment of craft beer.
Yo, what's wrong with the beer we got?
Now, here are your hosts, Tim Dennis and Brian Hewitt.
And welcome to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We are broadcasting from the Beer Guys Radio Studios in Marietta, Georgia. And this week, we're talking with Wandering Soul Beer Company. I am Tim Dennis, and with me, as always, is my good friend and co-host, Brian Hewitt.
Hey, Tim. Joining us today, we have Matthew Smith, the owner of Wandering Soul Beer Company. We're going to talk about gypsy brewing, collaboration, and probably hops. Matthew, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Now, do you prefer Matt or Matthew? I know we've had some email exchanges here. What is your preference there?
Oh, Matt is good.
Okay.
Matt's
just
good.
wanted Matt.
Okay.
Matt with Wandering Soul. We appreciate you joining us again. Good times. We're going to crack into some of your beers, have some good conversation here. And, you know, we like to start out with just a little chatter.
Yes.
And we try and pick a fun topic to chat on. And Brian, I believe you found something that is near and dear to your heart.
Yes, I am. I'm quite the fan. I heard that you play in a ska band. Is this true, Matt?
Yeah, that is true. And
still, even with the brewery, you're playing in the ska band now.
Well, I've taken a little break from it, but I mean, you can see a guitar. Well, there we go. There's a guitar behind me.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
You can't see all. You can.
It's people on radio will have to trust us.
Radio
and
yes,
podcasts.
We'll describe.
There
There
is a
are
guitar.
guitars. We can
Yeah.
Multiple guitars.
Yes.
Yeah. So no, I used to play in a ska band in New Jersey called the Blithering Idiots, and it's a ska punk band, and you know it got pretty serious to the point where a lot of the other guys moved up here to Massachusetts to start another band, and they convinced me to move up here from New Jersey, and that's actually the reason I even moved here from New Jersey, was to play in a band called STEM, which became a band called Stereo Grove. But yeah, I played in a few different ska bands. I play guitar.
So what were your musical influences?
A lot of traditional ska music, you know, like the Scotalites from Jamaica,
Nice.
You know, and then a lot of the ska punk, like Real Big Fish, Less Than Jake,
Yep.
you know, the Toasters.
I'm a big
other
fan
than-
of Goldfinger. You know?
Goldfinger, yeah, all that stuff. A lot of the stuff coming out of the New York ska scene, because I was in New Jersey. Then West Coast stuff like Hepcat and the Slackers from New York and stuff like that.
Man, there is so much more ska out there than
Oh,
I had
yeah.
any idea. So I was in the mid 80s, I was into like the 80s punk, late 70s, 80s punk. And I think MDC was kind of a little ska punk sort of in there. Do you know MDC, Matt?
Does it stand for something?
It does, but I can't say it on the radio, so we're just gonna stick with that for now. So but they were pretty popular, but I think light ska influence, probably more punk.
You know what's interesting is there was I think it was, I don't know if it's top 40, but it got some airplay locally, at least in ska punk band that's new. Like I heard this on the radio. I'm like
in today times,
yeah,
like in the 2021,
like did a cover of a Billie Eilish song.
Okay.
That
Oh,
new,
wow.
yeah. So that new, but they sound like they could have walked right out of 1997, you know, somewhere in California. So I'm pretty happy about that.
Well, see, most of my ska knowledge is like Squirrel Nut Zippers, Suit Riot stuff, and that.
Oh, Cherry Pop and Daisy. This is more retro swing type of stuff, but
All
yeah,
right.
it was in there.
They had some ska influences. I think that, you know, if you see a bunch of horns in a band like that, and you know, it's a ska band, you know. But yeah, they had some influences for sure. But yeah, I mean, I love that music. It's more like reggae. I gravitated more towards like dub reggae.
Okay.
All right.
Well, we had Christopher Glenn with Bottle Share on the show with us last week, and before the show, we were playing some music, and I was like, "What do you like to listen to?" And he said, "White Boy Reggae." I'm like, I'm like, what? He's like, let me just show you. So I'm learning so much education to have out
Here
there.
you thought you knew everything there was to know about music.
Yeah. Well, Matt, when Brian starts his ska podcast,
yes,
we'll have to have you back on there.
The Ska-cast.
All right.
The Ska-cast.
That's
exactly.
right.
That probably exists already.
Probably does. Yeah. Well, Tim, I think it's time for us to get into the beers of the week.
Now it's time for our Beers of the Week. Brought to you by The Nest. craft beer and barbecue in downtown Kennesaw, Georgia. TheNestKennesaw.com.
Well, Brian, as always, great list of beers to get into here. We do want to thank our friends at The Nest for sponsoring this segment. Wings, barbecue, craft beer, Brian.
Yes.
Nesttoberfest coming up there. Pre-sale tickets on right now. More info on that coming soon. So this week we've got a great selection from Wandering Soul, Brian. We are currently sipping their Melody Maker Northeast IPA. We have coming up their Young Mouse, which is a Belgian ale with mango. We have Things We Don't Say, and Matt, we'll get into that one a little more. I know there's a story behind that beer as well, the Things We Don't Say.
Yeah.
And From the Wreckage, Imperial Stout. You got to wrap it up with a stout because stouts are for summer, Brian.
That's right. And it's prime stout drinking
It is
season
prime
right now.
stout
Yes.
season right now. That is a truth. So, yeah, some really good stuff to get into. Definitely going to enjoy that. So, Brian, why don't you let us know what's happening in the news?
What's in the news? The beer guys have the scoop.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
Time for headlines.
I think we all knew this day would come. I'm not sure if it really has or not, but CNN is reporting that the hard seltzer craze has come to an end, stating that the once unstoppable growth of hard seltzer has gone flat, unquote. And they're basing a good part of that on the call that or the hit that Boston Beer Company's Truly Hard Seltzer had in the second quarter of this year. Boston Beer Company missed their projections, and shipments were down by about 10 to 25% from their original projections. Boston Beer Company blames a softer market following last year's spending patterns, where people were basically buying everything they could find and filling up all the cupboards in their house.
Stay home, drink up.
Exactly. And they were also increasing consumer confusion. That's their term, consumer confusion, based upon the increasing number of options. Basically, these people don't know that they should be buying Truly, apparently. So they're confused.
Consumer confusion.
And
imagine how confusing craft beer is.
That's
Brian.
right. Yeah, exactly. And this follows the Seltzer brand's largest ever advertising campaign. So all that advertising really didn't save them, but it did chip away at their White Claw's slight lead in the market. So they're within about 10% of White Claw at the number 2 spot. Similar headlines have been all over the place beyond CNN, Bloomberg, Yahoo. I've seen it reposted everywhere. Everybody's kind of enjoying this new salacious news, but I'm not really sure I believe that the craze is over yet. I think that somebody missed their projections. It may not be done. Now, trust me, I'm okay if it is done. I want my shelf space back for craft beer, but I don't know if I believe we're there yet.
That's probably the easiest way for Boston Beer Company to wipe a little egg off the face there in not hitting projections. The confused consumers aren't drinking as much seltzer.
Exactly,
Brian. So that's it.
There's so many options. They don't know which ones to buy. So we're missing our projections because they're buying that local option. They just don't realize.
Matt, have you gotten into the seltzer game there at Wandering Soul? Have you done a seltzer?
I was afraid you'd ask.
Yeah, see?
No, it's I've never personally really understood the seltzer thing.
Yeah.
But what I will say, I have never put out a seltzer. I've experimented with making other beverages other than beer. What I'd love to see happen with seltzer is that it splits into some different categories that are brand new. Because I think that there's actually some opportunities out there for other beverages that have alcohol or carbonated, might even have hops and yeast and maybe some fruit, things like that. I've experimented in my lab with actually Wandering Soul wasn't even going to be a beer company. It was going to be something else.
Okay.
I just didn't know what to call it. So I still tinker around with that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to see seltzer kind of like morph into some new stuff for people. There's a lot of things you can do to create beverages with or without alcohol. There's all sorts of things you can do. Seltzer is just fizzy flavored water with alcohol.
You know what? I think maybe that's the way we'll start the next segment. We're going to talk about some of those alternative experiments that you had there. So
Yeah, seriously.
With that.
And I'm on board with the ready-to-drink cocktails. Some of them I really like. There's a gin and tonic by, is it Cutwater?
Cutwater.
I really like that. I like that a great deal. It's carbonated, and I don't know that it's not necessarily highfalutin, but it's really good.
I don't remember who owns Cutwater now. I know it's changed it because it used to be part of Ballast Point.
But
so back in the day, like pre-billion-dollar buyout,
I don't think it was included in that buyout.
I don't think it was either.
But I don't know if Ballast Point themselves still own it or what.
I think
the
someone else
relationship
has got
is.
it now.
Yeah.
Do you happen to know, Matt? Do you know who's got Cutwater now?
I think you might be right on. It's either Ballast Point or there's a brewery down near you guys, I thought.
Yeah, I forget who's got them now,
That's
but
probably somebody bought
I guess
it
the
out.
point being, yes, their RTD cocktails are pretty tasty.
Yes,
so
indeed.
definitely enjoy them. Well, you are listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We do need to take a break, but we'll be back very soon with more from Wandering Soul Beer Company. Wandering Soul.
I realized I knocked back that Melody Maker. I'm like, hold on, let me take a minute to savor this. So that's a tasty beer. That's a tasty beer. I drank it too fast. Damn it.
No, it's gone too, Brian. No more. Was that what it? Damn it. I was afraid of that.
Oh, did it break? Oh God. Oh,
Wow, it like really broke too. Huh?
that's very unfortunate.
we have a buddy who is like a talented woodworker with all this CNC machinery and stuff, and he made us an on-air sign.
Oh yeah,
that is like our logo. It's a really cool sign.
broke.
But yeah, because we had it on the door with like command strip Velcro.
Yeah,
And we're just here. We just heard of the dunk, and it's been up there seriously years without any pro. No, go ahead. Let's go ahead and take her down.
Yeah,
We'll see. Were all the pieces like big enough? We
might be able to glue that back together.
reassemble it? We'll mess with it later. We'll
like
find out.
The $10,000 sign or something like that. We can rebuild him.
Maybe that was Nick's intention was to
Yeah, we can rebuild.
right,
it.
we can
Yeah,
piece
we
it
got
together.
the pieces
All
are
right.
there. We just need some
we
decent
have the
glue
he
technology.
built a self-destruct option.
Yeah, exactly. Hoser.
and ejection module.
Yeah. All right.
We have had that for 4 years,
Yeah,
3
we've had
years.
it
I mean,
a while.
a long
it's-
time.
It's been with us to beer. The only other time it fell down is when Jason Pellet tried to see how hard he could slam our door.
Oh,
So yeah.
What are we doing next?
Beer-wise,
I
I
think he
think
said just go in order. So
Young
I think we're up
Mouse.
to Young Mouse.
close that. Get on here.
Now, I don't mean this offensive when I say this, Matt. So hopefully it's not taken this way.
Oh no.
Young Mouse sounds like a rapper name that would be in a Key and Peele sketch, doesn't it? Though it's like it's Young Mouse.
I
Yeah.
think it's his nephew. It's your nephew,
Is
right?
that your
It
nephew?
is, yeah. I don't,
Okay, cool.
I don't take offense to that at
All right,
all.
good.
Yeah, Young
Is he a
Mouse is,
rapper?
Yeah.
well, he probably could be. He's his name's Oscar, so that's his nickname is Young Mouse. He actually painted the artwork on the label
Oh, cool.
for the beer. But he basically, without getting into, there's a long story there, but he has a genetic mutation that causes some developmental problems and epilepsy, and he has a vision impairment, so he can see colors, but he's had a hard road, a really hard life, but he's an amazing person, and he inspires me every day. And he's home with his parents now, but he spent the first few months of his life in the hospital. And so it's like I said, there's a long story there, but it was important for me to have him be a part of that beer.
Yeah, and the label's cool.
I like the
it a
painting
lot.
and the label. I thought it was a riff on an impressionist art piece. I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool.
That's what I've heard. Other people have said that too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
How old is Young Mouse? The person.
He is now 4.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and he actually his parents, my sister and my brother-in-law, helped me with the recipe for the beer.
Okay.
They came up here. We brewed the test batch here in Beverly, in Massachusetts, and it's a Belgian ale with mango in it. We brewed it once in 2019, and this version is a little different. We went a little lighter on the mango this time and let the Belgian character kind of come through more.
I dig that, man.
It's
That's
nice. Yeah.
When I took a sip of that, I don't want to get too far off track so we can keep things moving, but the days when Belgian beer was where it's at, like that was the beer industry. And I don't visit Belgians as often as I used to, but man, it is nice to get that Belgian character. It's got the little mango in the finish, but it doesn't cover up that it's a Belgian beer.
It works together. The mango works with it.
Yeah, it plays well.
Thank you. Yeah, the yeast strain that we used is it's a good one. It's become one of my favorites.
There's
But
a splash bee. Yeah.
But, yeah, the
That's
first
awesome,
time
man.
first time we brewed it was a different yeast strain. It was basically a different beer.
That'll
So
do it.
a lot of these beers have evolved, Melody Maker evolved over years and years and years before I even put it out into the market. So
We'll definitely get into that one.
When we were homebrewers, our quote unquote flagship was a Saison. And you know what? We really didn't tweak it once we did a lot of pre-brew research. And so we formulated our recipe based on lots and lots of tastings. And I emailed New Holland and told them I like the character in their Monkey King, I think.
And Stillwater Cellar Door.
Stillwater Cellar Door. And so we did a lot of research, and to be honest, the first batch out, we're like, we love this. We're good. We
nailed it.
So
the one thing we did is
brewed
we did tweak with the yeast for the synesthesia
for different variants.
American, and we also for the dark version, I actually went with a different yeast and went for a different profile. But honestly, the base one was the best, and we added peaches.
We did peaches, different things.
But that base recipe was amazing. Yeah,
good stuff. Cool. All right, let's dive back in.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
Now, back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. Remember, all episodes are available on demand, so if you missed the broadcast, get the podcast. Beer Guys Radio is available on all popular and unpopular podcasting apps. Now let's get back to Wandering Soul Beer Company.
So, Matt, before we went to break there, we were talking about things that aren't beer or aren't seltzers. And you said you've done some playing around. So what has happened in the laboratory there?
Well, I've done a few different things. I've had some ideas that didn't pan out, some that did. So for example, when I had an idea to do something that was gluten-free, but it was basically in a fruit wine category, where I was basically making, for example, pineapple juice, adding some sugar, and treating it as if it was a wine, but I was actually heating it up and adding some hops for a little bitterness, and dry hopped it and fermented it with a beer yeast just to see what would happen. And it tasted kind of like beer. So
interesting.
Yeah.
So I did that with pineapples and peaches, and then I made wine for a little bit, and I've made mead, and I've done, I did a 1% alcohol beer, a 2% beer, a 3% beer. Just kind of messing around with all these crazy ideas. A lot of them didn't work,
Sure. Yeah.
But some of them did.
Are you familiar with the website Reddit?
Yeah.
Okay. So there is a subreddit that is basically guys who ferment whatever liquid will ferment.
Is that Prison Hooch? Is that what that is?
Be it,
I think
Brian.
it is our Prison Hooch.
Like their goal is to be as ridiculous as they can with it, like Hawaiian Punch, the craziest ones. But basically, if it's a liquid and there's enough sugar in to ferment, I think one dude even did chicken broth and just added sugar to it to get it. Have you ever fermented chicken broth?
That I haven't done. No.
Okay.
I know a brewery has used hot dog water to make beer, so that's a thing. Have you tried hot dog water? I understand.
I heard about that too, actually, but I've never tried that. So I can't steal. I can't take that idea.
That's too much gold right there. Yeah, that's not too far removed from just dumping all this stuff into the boil kettle. Into a regular beer.
I did a Prison Hooch one time before I got into homebrewing, where I just took various fruits and stuff. I tried to do it as prisony as possible.
Yeah.
So I had different fruits, and I think I had ketchup packets.
Oh, nice.
Because I think they said that's what they'll use for some sugars. Yeah. And in yeast, I think they'll just use bread in that.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You know what? I gotta say, so I put the fruit and the liquid and all that in a jar, the ketchup packets, oranges, limes and that. And then I had hamburger buns. And I got to say, it really and truly was absolutely horrible.
Yes, I got to say, I will admit,
Yes,
it was terrible.
It was rank. Like I'd just go sober if I was in prison and that's all I could do.
Yeah, at a certain point, I was the lowest brow thing that we ever tried when we were home brewing that actually turned out really well was that Skeeter pea thing. But it was just you ferment lemon juice and it's like a wine,
good old hard lemonade,
sugar,
lemon wine,
and it worked out pretty well. It was not highfalutin. You pour it over some ice, but like right now when it's hot out, it's really nice,
refreshing,
very refreshing.
Yeah,
good stuff. Well, Matt, Wandering Soul Beer Company.
Yeah,
talk about the beer here. So you kind of your brewery started as kind of I hope I use this right, like a therapy for yourself was the brewing. And that kind of sprouted into a brewery for you, correct?
Yeah, it's that's the form that it took, and that was all a factor of just timing with personal, just life events. But I've been in the industry. I've been in the beer industry for about 10 years or so. That's crazy to say that, but I've worked for a number of different other breweries, doing a little bit of everything from production to sales, accounting, really legal stuff, anything that needs to get done, so I bounced around a lot. And then, I was actually working for a brewery in 2017 when, we lost our first daughter, and her name was Melody. And, we didn't, when I say we lost our daughter, she didn't pass away in a traditional sense. Basically, she was stillborn when my wife was about almost full term, more than 35 weeks pregnant. And we just found out that we lost her. So, that was in 2017. And my life, to be honest, kind of fell apart. I didn't know what I was going to do. I had to leave my job. I wasn't sure if I'd ever come back, and entered a really dark time. And so to ground myself, I decided, I was working on a recipe anyway that ended up becoming Melody Maker. I had done a bunch of versions of it and decided that winter in 2017, I was going to try to start a brewing project and try to put out a beer to honor her, to have a legacy for her of some sort. And that's what ended up happening. That's how the whole thing started, basically. It was sort of a way for me to deal with that experience. And so each beer I've done, is dedicated to a person or a concept. And it really has, I've told people, like, the entire time I've been running Wandering Soul, grief is a thing that never really goes away. You process it in different ways, right? And you carry people with you in different ways throughout your life, and you honor them the best you can. So that's what this has been for me. It's heavy stuff, and I know that. I try to ride the line of like being transparent with people and trying to do something good and raising money for charities and having a legacy, but also trying not to be too heavy because it's beer, and I think a lot of people pick up a can of beer, they read what's on the label, they expect to either, laugh at something or, just have a good time with it. And we can still do that. Like there's a lot of people, they could drink Melody Maker, any of my beers, and not know the story. And that's fine. That's totally fine with me. If the beer is what it is, you know what I mean? But behind each beer, there's a lot that went into it, so yeah, that's kind of how it started.
Okay.
Seriously.
I think it's good. It's good beer was there for you to have something to kind of an outlet at the time. And, I like a beer with a story like Melody Maker. I like knowing, when I'm drinking that beer, I think it's really cool to know the story behind it, where it came from. And we're currently drinking Young Mouse. You shared with us kind of on break about your nephew, and that's his nickname. So that honors him. And the cool artwork on the label is his work. I believe, you got a 4-year-old label artist there, huh?
Yeah.
Man, that's not a bad deal.
Yeah, no, he's a really special person, really inspiring to me. And, he's had, it's all right there on the can, about what I'm trying to do here, what we're trying to do. It's, to my amazement though, when I started this thing, I wasn't sure it was going to just be one batch of Melody Maker. And that was it. So like, I literally got all my federal and state permits and everything. Took a long time, just to brew one beer, just to brew one batch of beer.
That's dedication right
It
there.
is, man. Good
Yeah.
stuff.
But doing the paperwork, right, to get those permits that's what kept me grounded. Like, I'm going to do this, and just to see if I could do it, you know what I mean? Just to see if I could get these permits to do what I do. I didn't think I was going to get them. And so when they showed up here, and when I got the call and I was like, here's your state permit, I was floored, because I was like, oh man, I guess this might actually happen now.
I guess I'm gonna start a brewery then. I guess.
Yeah.
At that point, so at what point did you realize I'm gonna have to start making some other beers? I'm like, was it towards the end there, or
no,
were you right along starting to add them?
It's funny because the first beer went over really well, Melody Maker, and it sold out. And these are 30 barrel batches typically. When I started, they were 30 barrel batches, so it's like 250 cases. Self-distributed, I do everything myself. I'm the only employee that I have. So I delivered the first batch in a Honda Accord. I stored it at my house in Beverly. Kegs too. But anyway, like the beer sold out. It went really well, and started to see people responding to it. And so we brewed it again in April of 2017. Same thing happened. And then it was kind of like, all right, now what? Now what do we do?
Where do we go from here?
Yeah.
So you've been around longer than I thought. I thought that it was like 2 years. So 17. We're going on 4 years at this point.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, 2017 is when the ideas started, but this 2019 was the year when like Melody Maker was released into the market.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, hey, it's good that it was that popular and kept you driving.
Seriously.
Better than the alternative for sure, right?
It surprised me. I mean, it was really humbling. And then Things We Don't Say was the second beer we put out, but that recipe I threw together overnight.
Good stuff. You know what, Matt? When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about Things We Don't Say there. So you are listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We do need to take a break, but we'll be back very soon with more from Wandering Soul Beer Company.
All right.
Boom, ba-doom, boom, ba-doom, boom. Ska.
With Real Big Fish, baby, and Goldfinger.
What was their big one? Real Big Fish. They had
Sell Out with me. Oh yeah, Sell Out.
They had a song. They actually had a song called Beer too.
They did. They had a song called Beer. Yeah.
I think I'll buy myself a beer. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I know that one. That one. Yeah.
And I actually saw. I haven't been to a lot of concerts with my wife, but my wife actually went and saw Goldfinger with me in Portland, Oregon. She likes punk in general. She's kind of pro that, and she enjoyed herself.
Okay.
Yeah, this is going back a lot of years.
Yeah.
Probably 15.
MDC, Matt, is millions of dead Catholics, millions of dead chickens.
Okay.
So they rotate it from different times as to what the C stands for.
That's right. You've told me about that. I thought it was Christians or Catholics. Christians.
Yeah, they get
cats.
They rotated around there. So
I like that. I like that they could change their name up.
Yeah.
When you actually don't define the acronym, it could be anything.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think if they really had. I think I may be getting a little confused because one of their album arts was the Skankin' Ronald McDonald. And so that was Skank, but I'm not sure if that went over to the music. And I know one of their songs, Pope on a Rope, was a popular one in that. So
has a nice ring to it.
Yeah,
Yes, it does.
yeah. I was a pretty hardcore skate punk in my middle teens.
Yeah,
I lived outside of. I was picking my dad up from the Syracuse airport one time, and when my dad left, I had like a regular, normal long hair. When my dad returned, I had a 12-inch spike mohawk.
Nice.
So, and my dad's a very traditional, old school North Carolina redneck dude. So,
okay.
My mom was kind of free spirited. She's like, "I'll pierce your ear. Let's get a mohawk. Let's do it."
Did your dad ever say anything about it? You've never told me if your dad's
he didn't. He did not like it at all.
Oh, okay. But he didn't say you're gonna cut your hair, son.
He's. I think when he got off the plane, when he saw me, I think he kind of closed his eyes and rolled his head like, this is the biggest disappointment I've ever had.
Tim, you have never. You are
And he's like-
such a disappointment.
He's like,
to me.
what are you doing, boy? You know, that was about all I got from Dad. And I think my mom immediately said, Gene, shut up. It's just hair. So
I wish somebody would have said that to my dad back.
yeah,
in the day,
that was
'cause-
just, Gene, shut up. It's just hair. It'll grow out was basically her point there. So, but the story being, I'm standing around at the airport and this guy walks up to me and says, the rain in Spain stays mainly on the plane. I'm like, okay. And he looks at me again. He says, the rain in Spain stays mainly on the plane. I'm like, cool. It's like, anything else? He's like, are you our contact? And I was like, nah, dude. He's like, oh man, sorry. I thought you were someone else. Blah, blah. Anyhow, get into it. It was the band MDC. And they thought I was their contact because I was punked out there.
Yeah.
And they were meeting someone in the Syracuse airport to hide in a box van to go to Canada to play Anarchy Fest because they were ejected from the country
That's right.
the previous year. So,
Wow.
so we ended up sitting there talking, and of course we didn't have camera phones then, so it's not like you carried a camera everywhere. So no pics, but I got some merch, hats, pins. Pins
Nice.
were real big with punk bands. Pins were
Everything
real
got
big
pierced.
there,
You drive it
so-
through skin or leather or whatever.
Yeah, I got their cassette. You know, of course, it was
Nice.
cassettes in the day.
cassettes. Hot. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my
You have told me about that. I knew I recognized that
my
from
brush
something.
with punk
Yeah.
story there. Cool. All right, let's do. We're getting
going to
into things
3.
we don't say, right? Brian,
Yeah.
are you ready for it?
I'm ready for it. Yeah.
I still got a little bit of.
I'm ready to go.
I still got a little young mouse.
I like Young Mouse.
I do too. This is nice. Yeah, I
Yeah,
dig this,
thanks.
man. I'm a fan of this one for sure.
Yeah, it's unfortunately the melody maker I sent you guys is I think from February, so it's a little bit older. Like that's the other thing. I only brew 1 beer a month, so
Okay, gotcha.
that just happens to be the last batch I had.
All right.
But Young Mouse is fresher. Things we don't say is fresher. From the wreckage, the date is irrelevant.
Yeah, that one. And they've been in the fridge since they've got here. So
Yeah, they
we're
have.
good on all
I
of them.
didn't notice it being maybe it had faded a bit, but I wouldn't know because
Yeah,
I never tasted it fresh. So
Yeah, it faded a little bit. I still think it's good. I think it's like totally
Yeah.
acceptable, but it's not like drinking it right out of the right off the canning line.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't like it was oxidized or dead
Right.
or anything there. So yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Nope. No mic. Why?
you
if
have
you
no
talk
mic.
to the mic, then you're not no mic Nate.
Yeah, you.
Just Nate. All right. Just Nate's got a question for you.
All right.
Hey, quick question for you, Matt. You had said at the beginning you were the only employee. Are you still the only employee at your brewery?
Yes, that hasn't changed.
That's
The
impressive.
Matt.
This is why there's 1 brew a month.
He
You
is
said
a
1 brew a
wandering
month.
soul.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's literally like 1 brew a month is all I can handle because it's literally every aspect of making the beer, selling the beer, being paid for the beer, paying for the beer, doing the artwork, all of it. So
Now, does all the other stuff keep you busy? Do you have another job, or is it wandering soul?
believe it or not, even doing 1 beer a month, this has become what I do. Like it's
Okay, yeah.
enough to sustain I mean, I don't live a very luxurious life here,
Gotcha.
but it's enough to like.
Which most brewers do. Man.
Hang
So,
on. You have
know.
2 guitars. I mean, that's
Oh,
fairly
yeah.
luxurious.
Well, one of those was given to me.
Okay, well, there we go.
It's my-
Still pretty luxurious.
yeah. I mean, that's from my past life. I have a beer called Past Life, actually.
Okay. Yeah.
A Vienna lager. I should have sent you guys some of that, but anyway, yeah.
Cool. All right, man. I do dig a Vienna lager.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to find some time to bitch about Oktoberfest being out already.
I was gonna mention that earlier at some point in the conversation, possibly when Smalls was here, that officially people are shipping Oktoberfest beers right now. This week, the announcements for has gone out there. Oh, were
Yeah,
they out
they-
last week?
Savannah sent their list out at least last week.
Oh, no
maybe even
kidding.
the
I
week
just
before.
saw the articles. Now, some of those articles may be reposting stuff that's been made aware by most people. You know what? They might be catching up with the beer arriving. They might be like, oh, FYI, guys, it's out there now.
FYI.
I should have brought up when we were talking about seltzer. Did you guys see the what is it? I don't know if you saw it down there, but Shipyard Pumpkinhead hard seltzer.
Oh, God.
The most basic of basic is
You know
It's like
what?
it's out now. Like they released it.
Did they barrel age that?
Not the seltzer,
Because I
but-
feel like I saw a barrel aged pumpkin seltzer somewhere.
I think I saw. Yeah, I think somebody barrel
They do
aged a
these
seltzer.
things just to hurt me.
maybe it was them. I don't think it was them. though.
Somebody
I
did
don't-
do a barrel aged seltzer,
Crazy, man.
and I can't
crazy.
remember what it was, who it was that did it, but somebody did do one recently. There was
Yeah.
a news article about it, and then I googled it a bit. I'm like, oh, this been actually several people who have done it, thinking they're the first people to do it, just to be obnoxious. But
Yeah.
I've never encountered one.
I haven't either. No. I have to. So I'm not, you know what? I'm not going to get rambling. I'll get off on seltzer. Smoothie seltzers, Matt, I'm going to just say this.
Not beer.
I dig them, but they're not beer. Like as a fruity alcoholic beverage,
Oh, you're talking about like the spiked smoothie or whatever?
like smooch,
Smooch.
and
Smoothie,
yeah.
Crooked Run does them.
Did we give away all those? Were those the
No,
Crooked Run
those
ones?
were just basic ones there.
Oh,
so.
okay. All
Yeah, I mean,
right. Basic ones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Are
and
there
that's-
levels of basic seltzers?
I mean, another thing is like the milkshake IPA thing. Like I can get down with that to a certain extent, but like
Yeah.
I'm all for experimenting. But yeah, no, what you said, the spiked whatever that stuff, I know what you're talking about. That's not beer.
Yeah. Yeah. See, that's, and on that note, there's a brewery here that I love, makes really good beer, but they did like they did a beer they called Push Pop. And I guess the base is supposed to be an IPA,
Yeah.
but there's so much lactose and fruit in it that you absolutely cannot tell there's a beer in there. It's
Yeah.
delicious. If you want a sweet orange creamsicle with booze in it, it's
Yeah.
great. It's great.
Yeah, I
So,
can't do lactose. I mean, I've never used lactose in a beer.
Yeah.
To me, it's just you're adding an ingredient that's changing it. You're pushing it. I personally don't. I hate the taste of lactose.
Okay.
I
yeah.
just don't like what it does to my body, honestly.
It doesn't
That-
stop you though.
Well, no,
Yeah.
it doesn't stop me. That one that you had, the Push Pop, or the one we had, I was there. That was one of the first times I ever had the whole smoothie IPA thing. It was
Yeah.
like very new at the time.
Yeah. I
It-
mean, the thing was thick. I mean,
It
actually
was.
thick, so
It was
all
really
right.
good too, but I'm like, that's just not beer. I mean, I know it says it's beer, but it is not beer.
It's claiming it's a beer. All right, here we go.
Are we on? We're 3, right?
We're going into
Okay.
3. Yeah.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Next Friday is Hawaiian Shirt Day. So, if you want to, go ahead and wear a Hawaiian shirt and jeans.
Now, back to the Beer Guys radio show.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. I want to give a quick shout out to one of our great radio affiliates, WBQO 93.7 FM in Brunswick, Georgia. Catch Beer Guys Radio on WBQO every Saturday at 1 p.m. Now let's get back to Wandering Soul Beer Company.
Matt Smith, Wandering Soul Beer Company. Matt, we're on to another beer here. We are drinking the things we don't say.
Cool.
And I know we've talked about this beer a little bit before, but keeping with your theme of having a story behind the beer, can you tell us a little bit about things we don't say?
Sure. The beer, it's a double IPA. It's 8%. It was a little bit out of my wheelhouse when I first designed that recipe. But so the hops have changed. It's on its 4th version, but it landed in a place where I think I'll keep it. And it's it's a blend of hops that I really like. Some Mosaic in there. It's pretty heavy on the Mosaic. It's got some Centennial, El Dorado, and Vic Secret, which is a hop that I love. But basically, the idea behind the name "Things We Don't Say" came to me as the second beer that we put out. And when I say we, it's not just me, right? Like I'm brewing my beer at other people's breweries. So I rely on their equipment. I rely on their staff. I rely on their canning line.
Do you work with several breweries or do you just have one you've partnered with?
It's changed. It's several.
Okay.
The
good old gypsy brewer, huh?
It's become Gypsy Brewing, yeah.
Okay.
And I started brewing stuff at Castle Island Brewing in Norwood, Mass, and then I bumped over to Bentwater Brewing in Lynn. Now I'm going back to Castle Island, but still brewing at Bentwater, and I'm also brewing at Old Planters Brewing here in Beverly. And I've done like 5 collaboration beers, and there's going to be other beers that are made at other people's breweries too that are already in the works. But basically, Things We Don't Say was the whole concept. It's a concept beer. It's about the things that people go through in life that they're maybe afraid to talk about because they don't want to make somebody sad. And I know that with me, what happened for us, like with Melody, traditionally that experience is not really talked about, especially from the perspective of being a man, because I think women are probably better at being open with things like this, especially emotional things. But, being a man, like, supposed to be like the strong one and, like hide your emotions and, brush everything under the carpet and like, don't make anybody sad, So I realized very early on into my experience with losing Melody, that approach was not going to work for me, of keeping quiet about it. So I just kind of let my emotions just kind of like flow right through me, and it happened to flow right into the beer. So it was an emotional thing, but yeah, Things We Don't Say was kind of an encouragement, and that's why it says Things We Don't Say ... because that symbolizes all the things that we just don't talk about that just kind of stay stuck in our heads as thoughts. They never really enter the world as things that we actually discuss.
I think you should encourage people to fill out the ... on the can, like put on there things that they don't say.
Symbolically, opening the can is saying the things that aren't being said. See, so there you go. So what are you? Tim is writing on the can right now.
I mean, you could even send a message to someone on the can that maybe you wouldn't want to say. You're lucky my pen can't say what I want to say to you, Brian.
Is that safe for radio?
Things
what
I
you were
can't
gonna say?
No, that's why I was writing it on the can.
Okay,
so yeah.
Well, that's the thing too.
Don't say it on the radio.
It's one of those phrases that can have so many different meanings. So I kind of like that. Like people could look at it and be like, "Oh, things we don't say, like bad words and stuff like that. Things that'll make them laugh." So that name that was going to be a band name actually.
A ska band?
No.
Oh, okay, that's too bad.
That's a shame.
More of like a metal band.
Things we don't skank,
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, but that beer changed. It's changed a few times. It's the only double IPA that I've done, and I've kept brewing it. It's my best-selling beer. I'd say Melody Maker's right behind it. So
I actually have a change.org petition to ban El Dorado hops. So I hate to.
I was going to bring up El Dorado hops. Yeah,
I hate to say that to you, Matt.
They're polarizing. Okay. Have people complained to you about before, Tim? Obviously.
No, I mean, so the thing with El Dorado is if you're using too much of them, or using them in a part of the process where they're going to extract more of the oils, more of the raw flavor, they can get very, very pungent, very in your face. And some of the flavors that it throws off are not necessarily good. I think that I've grown to really like that hop. It's only in the dry hop. I think if you use El Dorado on the hot side of brewing, you'll get a different character. But it's pretty raw. Like you got to be careful with it, Also, when you blend it with other hops, it takes on a different persona. If you did a single hop beer with El Dorado,
sounds like the worst
you might not like
thing
it.
ever.
See,
you might not like it.
I know you dig it.
I've always it's like a candy
sure.
hop the way it comes out. I know that one of the big brewers in the area got rid of it. Like they had El Dorado for a particularly high profile double IPA and decided they did not care for El Dorado.
I think the brewer told us pretty point blank, I don't like El Dorado and I won't use it again.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Resold the hops. Yes.
The other thing you got to remember too, that like with El Dorado, every crop year is different. With any hop, any crop year is different. So for example, Galaxy hops, when Galaxy hops got big, the last year's crop year, 2020, tastes different than when Galaxy hops got real big. There and not only the crop year, but the lot, like the specific lot, the farm where it came from, and not only the farm where it came from, but the plant where it came from, the soil where it came from. So like, you know, the source
Terroir.
yeah, exactly. And you can break it down so far. So like El Dorado, you could have it from 2 different suppliers, 2 different, you know, hop farms, and it could taste totally different.
It's getting to be like Battleship with hop contracts. I want Centennial from B23.
B23.
Give me that. Bingo. So
And you know what, the way like rain collects and mist collects and all that sort of, it's possible that could make a difference. There'll be a little gully one place where a little bit more water collects, and those hops will be just a little bit different than the rest of the ones in the other in the field. So
right. You know, Matt, we've had conversations about hop selection and about how some brewers may go out there and try, let's say they're trying, you know, Citra or whatever, and they try it and they're like, wow, this is the best batch of Citra we've ever had. This is fantastic. But the one we want is this lot. And it's not because it's the best, but that's the hop that tastes like the Citra they've been using. So it will keep the beer tasting familiar there, you know, and maybe they'll get some of those number one, the best one ever from maybe some side batches. But if you're brewing a big production beer, you just want the consistency there.
Sure, yeah.
This tastes like last year's Citra, like the Citra before that.
I was gonna just say that it's like an age-old battle it's a question that every brewer kind of has to ask himself or herself is, am I brewing beers for other people or for myself?
Sure.
And you know, because you have to cater to the flavors and the palates of what's out there and what people kind of want. At the same time, you know, I've brewed beers that I don't like personally. You know, for me, Things We Don't Say is not at the top of my list of the beers that I personally like, but it's a lot of people's favorite beer. I've had people tell me it's the best beer they've ever had. So it's like, you know, so I've kind of tweaked it so that I like it more.
Sure.
Improved it for yourself. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So, but it's kind of riding that balance of like the beers that you want to make that you would drink at any point versus what you think other people are going to be into.
You know, we've seen more than a handful of breweries that have came out and said, I'm going to be an only so-and-so brewery, and have just changed
never
up.
works.
You know, a few
it doesn't
here,
last very long.
maybe 7-10 years ago that came out and they're like, we're just going to brew Belgians. That's it. Belgian style beer. That's it. I'm down for it, you know, and but not the general population necessarily. So, you know, you get on there and you do your IPA and your fruited Berliners and such.
In one case, I'm thinking about you brew one pale ale and it outsells everything
Sometimes
else
that
you do, and you're
happens,
like,
man.
well, maybe there's something we need to look into
Okay,
here.
fine.
We'll do something else.
Yeah. But you know, of course you can have that happy mix of sticking to pleasing yourself, pleasing the masses there. So
yeah, I think there's a balance there for sure.
Yeah. Just no El Dorado hops. As long as you don't use El Dorado hops.
Don't worry. You know what? I'm gonna go change the recipe.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. Good stuff. That is a good point to break on. Goodbye, El Dorado. You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show, and we'll be back right after this.
You really, I'd forgotten how much you dislike it. I was thinking more of one of the breweries.
I always get
locally.
the strong, like woody herbaceousness out of it, the pungency.
Do you?
That's
see,
always
it doesn't
what
come
hits
through.
me.
I always get the candy out of it. It always comes
I've
through.
had a lot of people say
Some
that.
people have described it as like burnt rubber.
There you go.
If you use it in a certain way, it can come across as pretty harsh.
Like if you put it in the boil. Hold on, I'm looking for it. I like it.
All right. Let me do a little exploration here as well.
I mean, there's a woodiness to it. Yeah.
That beer is mostly Mosaic and Vic's Secret. El Dorado is actually a pretty small amount. I think there's more Centennial, and so the Centennial and the Mosaic and Vic's Secret are all in the Whirlpool and the dry hop.
Okay.
The El Dorado is only in the dry hop because I don't like what El Dorado throws off. I'm kind of with you. Like on the hot side, I don't like I've seen
there.
what it.
I see. Yeah. I think El Dorado is one of those things. Like my ex-wife, you couldn't put any cilantro in anything.
One of the soap people.
If you took a sprig of cilantro and brushed it across a 1 gallon batch of guacamole, she would taste that. That was the thing.
Insane.
It was just so sensitive. She was like, "You put cilantro in this," like, because I got because I like cilantro in my guac.
Somebody opened up a freezer bag of cilantro next door.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh,
Ugh,
everything
awful.
tastes like
Soapy,
soap right now.
soapy.
Gross, so
But I
gross."
think that's me with El Dorado. I think it punches me a little harder just because I have a sensitivity to whatever that flavor is in there.
I seriously, it tastes like somebody's, somehow melted and cooled hard candies. Like it's like just sweet candy to me.
Yeah, I mean, another
sweet
one is
candy.
Idaho 7 is another hop kind of like that, and Nelson Sauvin is one that you either love it or you hate it.
I think I recall liking that.
I
Unless
think
just
Nelson, I was okay. Yeah, I think I was all right with that. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I like it a lot, but there are definitely some hops that I don't.
I
don't
really
like as much.
dig. I like Mosaic. I really dig like the Hallertau Blanc.
Oh yeah, that's
It's
fun.
nice. I'm a big fan.
That's
of
the
that one.
kind of the whiny one. If
Whiny,
you're looking for a
yeah.
little wine character, little
Yeah, Nelson throws off some white grape,
Nelson does too.
white
right?
wine
Yeah.
type stuff. Yeah.
there's definitely been a few beers where that was called for and appreciated.
Yeah, I wish I could use
Tasty.
more, Saaz and Hallertau, Mittelfra, like the traditional noble. I
Yeah,
love that
yeah,
stuff. I mean, you open a bag of those, like still home brewing, like the Vienna Lager I have is all noble hops.
Okay.
So like that was a beer that I brewed like for me.
You don't
Yeah.
hear anybody talking about EKG and Fuggles in that anymore, do you?
No.
What's in this, man? I got
Yeah,
some
no.
good Goldings in here.
The hottest
Some of
Fuggles
that
I could find.
EKG.
Fuggles definitely not.
See?
But it's a great hop. No, it's a great hop. I mean,
Yeah, sure.
EKG is a fantastic hop. It's like a classic finishing hop,
Right.
But,
Wasn't there one of the I think it was one of the noble hops that we tried that's in a lot of the old school homebrew recipes that you hated. I can't remember what it was. It wasn't EKG or Fuggles, was it? It was something else. It was one. Was it all metallic or something like that? You're like, I taste metal.
Yeah, there's some that metallic taste is something that hits me a lot. There's certain hops, and the best way I know to describe it, to me, it ended up tasting like what smokeless tobacco smells like that.
Oh,
the wintergreen smokeless tobacco.
that's Northern Brewer, isn't
I
it?
think it's Northern
Yeah.
Brewery that hits me like that.
So that's not
Yeah.
noble, right?
That's not but that's one I also despise.
yeah, it's like Mount Hood. I mean, yeah, some of those hops can throw off some really weird aromas and
Terrible.
flavors. So
Madness. Well, Matt, we're getting ready to go in fourth segment here. We actually haven't covered a ton. We've just been kind of chatting it up, but
bits and pieces here and there.
anything specific you want us to cover?
I think, yeah, I mean, like I said, my operation is going to be changing a little bit. I can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, that
all
business
right.
model change. I've written it down twice, but I haven't brought it up
Oh,
yet.
we did cover our bullet points here. We just kind of freeformed it, huh?
Yeah,
No, I feel like
jumped
it's
around a
flowed,
bit.
I feel like it's flowed really well. I mean,
Cool.
I kind of hinted at the business model actually isn't really
Yeah.
changing, but I mean, I guess it is changing. I don't really
All
know
right.
yet. So,
You have no idea what's going on with your own brewery, do you, Matt?
well, we
We'll
just
figure
have
it out one day.
we have a toddler and a newborn, and so this
Okay.
is, part of the reason last time I had to cancel is because everybody was sick, and of course now everybody's sick again.
So, what are their job
Crazy.
responsibilities at the
Right.
brewery?
One is the resident screamer,
Okay,
and the,
all right.
yeah, and the other one is she just runs in circles basically.
Okay.
You
And,
do need somebody to run in
You gotta have
circles in a
someone to run in
brewery.
circles. You really
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Screaming and running around. So,
Screaming and
battle,
running in
battle.
circles. Yes, that's
Basically.
perfect band.
Yeah, so it hasn't been
Cool.
this was supposed to be I was supposed to be taking a break actually from Wandering Soul right now, and I thought it was going to be like a vacation. This is the worst vacation I've ever
Worst,
had.
yeah, worst
Yeah.
vacation.
I mean, I love my kids; they're great and everything. Especially after what we've been through, we're so grateful, But like,
Sure.
it
Yeah.
has been really kind of rough lately.
Man, yeah, I know. Well, hell,
Yeah.
Matt, just in the time we've been talking, I know it's been kind of one thing after the other on you there. So
Yeah, we just got
geez.
hit by stuff like when the masks came off around here with COVID and everything.
Right.
All this other stuff like came out.
Yeah, you weren't getting the colds because you had the masks preventing the colds from coming.
And
in.
not
So now-
not even just
yeah.
colds, like para-influenza. Like what the? I've
Oh,
never
yeah,
heard
yeah.
of it. We all had it. Like I had to bring my daughter to the ER.
Jeez.
That was around the time we were supposed to do this.
Holy crap, man.
And yeah, she couldn't breathe. I mean, it was like croup. She was wheezing. It was terrible. And now that she got this stomach thing, and now, I kind of have it. But anyway, I won't go on and on about it. It's just like, it's caused me to kind of, I think stepping back is a good thing. But at the same time, when I'm not, like, I'm so connected to Wandering Soul that stepping back from me has actually kind of sucked.
Yeah, I got you.
It's not a break. Like, I need this. I need to be doing this. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's what drives me and motivates me. And if I'm not doing it, I feel like I'm kind of useless.
I hear you, man. Yeah, gotta have.
I get that. I get
function,
that.
sure.
You got to have your thing. I've known when I've been the little bit of time I've been unemployed where I didn't have things I had to do or even take time off. I feel weird. It feels weird.
It does feel weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Feels weird.
It wouldn't feel too weird for me if I was loaded and when I lost.
Well, true. If you are absolutely rich and you're like, I don't have anything to do, I'm like, but I can go fly that helicopter someplace. So I'm going to go do that.
To Italy.
Italy.
Whatever.
The helicopter to Italy. I mean, if you're rich enough, you could probably make that happen.
Man, you don't know my money. You don't know what kind of helicopter I got.
That's a very fast helicopter.
You got to see the fuel tanks on that thing. So cool. All right, let's do it.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Your revolution is over, Mr. Lebowski. Condolences, the bum's lost.
Now, back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. If you enjoy the show, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/beerguys. Patrons get cool perks like Beer Guys swag and commercial-free episodes. Now let's get back to Wandering Soul Beer Company.
So, Matt, I wanted to ask you something. Going back to a little bit earlier when we were talking about the Gypsy Brewing, how much of a challenge is it for you to brew a beer on different systems each time? I mean, like going to, let's say, Melody Maker from one system to the other. How easy is it to transfer that recipe?
That's a great question, and it's not easy. The homebrew versions of that beer versus what they are now. Working at Castle Island versus Bentwater, the water is different, the systems are different, the process is different, the people are different, really a lot of things different. The yeast strain changed. Versus the homebrew batches, the cool thing was that when we first brewed the beer at Castle Island, it ended up tasting like the version 20 homebrew batch that I landed on.
Okay, gotcha.
So, but it took a long time to get there, to figure out how are we going to do the whirlpool hops, the dry hop, the water, the yeast, when do we dry hop it, all that stuff, temperature. It was pretty much tried to follow the homebrew batch recipe as much as we could. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun to brew beers at different places,
Sure.
But consistency is something I have really tried to do a good job with, and I'm pretty happy with how it's worked out. But sometimes I'm making changing these recipes as we go. Melody Maker hasn't really changed, but no, it's a great question. I mean, it's something that if you have I'll use McDonald's as an example, or even Budweiser, any big company, they need to replicate that same product at all different other facilities around the world and get it to taste the same. So doing it on a large scale, I can't imagine, you know what I mean? On the scale I'm at, it's get to have a little more fun.
Right. Budweiser's pretty good at it, but McDonald's, they just fly by the seat of their pants. There's no telling what you're going to get there.
That's probably true. Now they do ship all the ingredients almost pre-made. I think all you have to do is actually just warm them up at the local place.
I guess so, man.
And even still, it's different every single place.
It is. You never know. You never. Now I should preface this by saying I've never worked at McDonald's, so don't know how they do it, but they do have a skill in making sure it's Russian roulette from restaurant to restaurant.
Yeah, they've really captured that excitement of never
Yes.
knowing what you're going to
Right.
get from a
So
place that
exciting,
is
man.
supposed to be predictable.
Yeah, good
Mhm.
stuff. Well, Matt, you mentioned to us on break a little bit, talking about kind of the format and brewing, different locations and all that. You said that there are some changes coming up for Wandering Soul. What's in store for the future there?
Well, when I started this thing, I kind of wanted it to always be, I'm based in Beverly. There's a shed behind my house that is I have the federal and state permits for literally a shed behind my house. And most recently, just like a month ago or less, we put out, I made this beer called A Light in the Dark. Here it is. I know some people won't be able to see that, but
it's a lovely bottle, very
It
dark
is.
in
It did
color.
look nice.
Yeah.
It
looks
had a
like
nice
beers I
light
dig. Yeah.
silvery silhouette on it. It
Yeah.
looks like it could be a stout or something like
it's
that.
it's a barrel aged sour beer with
okay.
with peaches that took a year and a half to make. It was brewed before COVID. And it
okay.
sat in a barrel for a year at my house, and I added peaches. It was the first beer I put out under Wandering Soul. It's a collaboration with my friend Neil at Gilded Skull Brewing, who he and I are friends, and we've kind of helped each other out. But anyway, I'm going to be doing a lot more collaborations, and that's already in the works. But I'm going to be going back to my roots to Castle Island Brewing in Norwood to make some beers there again, where I've been brewing at Bentwater. And the distribution side of this has changed. So I used to do everything myself and self-distribute, and then Bentwater was kind of helping. They have a distribution company, so their guys were helping me. And then we were doing big batches, and I was shipping out of state, which had gone reasonably well. Last year was a really good year for Wandering Soul, even with COVID. But brewing one beer a month I've stuck to that since 2019. I'm going to still stick to that. But there's going to be some more real small batch, like experimental stuff that I can't brew a 30 barrel batch of, but I can do here or somewhere else. So that's really just how it's changing. It's still just going to be me. I used to be the guy showing up, delivering all the beer myself. And then I had some help from a company that does that. And it's going to go back to me being the guy showing up with the beer myself. So,
I got to say, it's pretty cool, though, that you're in a location where you can brew from your shed behind your house, right?
And distribute from there.
That's what I was going to say. So
I can, I did a bottle release for this beer. It's called A Light in the Dark. And there was a line of people 5 minutes before they had to get the address via an online form and an email from me and all that stuff. So there was a line of people and cars down the street, and it's fully legal. They just can't drink the beer here, but they can purchase the beer from me and leave.
He's the legal dope man. They're
exactly.
coming to the neighborhood.
I was just thinking
when
we were homebrewing, if we could have sold it out of your garage, how much different things would be right now.
Cool.
We might be running a brewery instead of doing a radio show about beer.
Well, we just passed laws like in 2017 here, Matt, to allow some direct sales at our breweries. And, we talked about in different laws to where you don't have to distribute. You can just do sales from your brewery. You don't have to have a distributor, because before in Georgia, you sure couldn't have one in a residential.
Absolutely not. No,
you had to have a distributor to sell your beer at all. But, I had talked to the guild. I was like, could I get a small space, get the licenses, and do one, like you said, one batch a month, or what have you. Do small batches and just sell them out of my tap room there. Maybe I'm open 1 day a week, 2 days a week or whatever. And they're like, well, technically, yes, you could. But they're like, as soon as you try something like that, the DOR is going to find a way to close up some loopholes there. So,
everything changes when people are drinking on premise at your place, everything changes. And as soon as money exchanges hands, there's tax stuff that needs to be accounted for. But the license I have, it says right on it that I can sell directly to
cool.
I can sell to wholesalers, I can sell to retailers, or I can sell to consumers. So.
That's amazing.
Not in Georgia,
amazing.
Not happening, man.
I'm so jealous how different things would have been. Not saying I don't like what we're doing here, but you know what? It would have been
It
pretty
could be
cool.
better.
Once upon a time, I would have really enjoyed that.
We've got it better than we used to have here, but
Yeah.
we're not there to the finish line
Oh
by
no,
any means.
no, not even close. Not even
Yeah.
close.
Yeah.
So any plans, down the road in the future, like setting down some sort of roots in I guess you have a kind of a permanent, you've got a shed there that you can brew out of, but like a more formalized tap room type of thing. Are you looking at that, or is that just, you're not interested in that? You want to keep doing a beer a month?
The shed, I wouldn't call it permanent. I think that lightning could strike that thing tonight and it would blow up. It could fall apart at any moment. It's a very small shed. So yeah, it's definitely something I'm looking into, having my own spot. I've been spending actually years doing it sort of passively. And I have a town in mind here that I've been talking to for a long time now. There's a part of the state of Mass where there's a lot of people that live and there's no breweries there. So, that's definitely on my radar. And, it's just something where doing everything myself, it's going to require me to change the structure of this business. And, it's going back to how I started this thing and what it means to me, giving ownership up to investors and stuff like that. Kind of hard for me, you know what I mean?
Changes the game a good bit.
I get it. Yeah.
So especially with the personal aspect of it, so I go back and forth, man. Like, one day I wake up and I want to just do it this way, just gypsy brew and just go, anyone that'll have me, let's just keep doing it this way, and the next day I wake up and I'm like, man, I am leaving so much money on the table because I could have all these people coming to me, because like the only way you can get my beers now is in stores or bars. And what if I cut that and just said, hey, you got to come here now?
Come to the source.
So I'd have a kind of a built-in crowd. I mean, I've been blown away and humbled by the following I have around here. It's beyond what I ever thought. I'm not saying I'm like, Sam Adams or whatever the hell, but like, it's beyond what I ever thought it would be. I can't believe I'm still doing this for a living. It's incredible. So,
get you some bar stools and some tiki torches for the shed, and boom, you've got your tap room.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
But they couldn't drink it. They can just pass closed bottles back and forth.
Oh, they can drink it there. Oh, okay.
They can pretend they're drinking it.
Give them a glass of water, and they can cheers with that while they're there you
go.
Well,
the good thing is this ties into our conversation last week. You could sell an NFT for a virtual bar stool. And so they could drink your beer from home at your virtual bar.
There you go.
That's
everybody wins.
That's
everybody
genius.
Wins.
That's right.
That's genius.
Yeah. Well,
I'm gonna do that.
See, there you go, man. We appreciate you joining us, man. Had a great conversation with you. If people want to see how to get your next NFT or your next beer, what is the best way for them to do that?
The website is wanderingsoulbeer.com. And everything on social media is just at Wandering Soul Beer, and everything comes directly to me. So
good stuff.
Great.
Awesome. We appreciate it, Matt.
Yeah, thanks, guys. That was awesome.
You bet. Well, that about wraps it up for this episode of the Beer Guys Radio Show. Join us next week as we talk with Exhibit A Brewing. For more craft beer info, follow us online. We are Beer Guys Radio on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks again for tuning in. Have a great week, and don't forget to drink local. Cheers. I gotta say, drinking this one beer really settled my stomach.
Did it?
That was it,
I
man.
thought I saw
There
you
you
shotgunning
go.
something. It's like, hold up, he's drinking a beer. He's drinking a beer.
Chug.
I feel much better. I actually feel better now.
See, there you go, man.
The-
Just needed a little
Beer, it's medicine, man. It's
Yeah.
medicine.
vitamin ABV.
That's
Here's
right.
what else you there.
Also, Exhibit A. I know
Yeah.
them really well.
Cool.
Oh, do you?
All right.
The owner's name is Matt as well, and I've actually bought kegs from them that I still own, and I bought hops from them. I actually just emailed them literally yesterday to buy some
Hang
Nelson
on.
hops.
You're both named Matt. Are you the same person?
Is it?
Yes,
I'm
we are.
trying to
Actually,
remember who. Let me see who it is.
might have been there's a dude named
Kelsey?
Kelsey
Roth. Kelsey Roth is who we're talking.
yeah, he's cool.
Okay.
He's really cool.
Cool.
Yeah, I know him.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're a great brewery. They're one of my favorites around here. So that's you'll have a good time talking to them. They're really good.
rated by Thrillist as the most underrated brewery in Massachusetts.
Cool.
You know, I didn't even think
they're
about
awesome.
the connection there until I was doing the outro, and I'm like, oh, that's right. They're both in Mass. I bet he knows these guys. So
Yeah, they put out a beer called Wandering Thoughts.
okay.
And
All right.
and you know, I've known those guys for a while, but I was like, hey, that we should do.
Did
like
you rip? They ripped you off a little bit. It's like, hey, hang on, guys, hang on.
Hey.
Are you getting on my turf?
It wasn't that one didn't bother me. A few others have bothered me recently that I've seen, but not that they're even intentionally doing anything, but Exhibit A, I'm hopefully going to do something with them at some point.
Cool. Okay.
You know, so I don't think that that's public information yet, but
All right. Well, it is now. No. So
Well, you out there, yeah, it's not going out in the podcast.
What he told them is they could keep calling it Wandering Thoughts, but they had to spell it THOTS. So he's like, yeah, you can keep using the name. That's fine.
Wandering Thoughts.
Yeah.
So
Great.
well, Matt, man, thanks for hanging with us. We appreciate
Yeah, it was
it.
fun.
Glad we finally got a chance to connect up here.
Yeah, I'm really sorry about last time and trying
We
to
get it.
You know, it's just been. I think you know, this is kind of a transitional phase that we're in right now here.
Yeah.
And our younger daughter just has some GI issues. It's just been all sorts of stuff. So I'm hoping that all clears up pretty soon.
Me too, man.
I hope you guys all feel
there.
a lot better soon. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Cool.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, Matt. Well, the show will come out. Radio plays this weekend. Podcast launches Saturday. I'll send you a link.
All right.
We'd definitely love for you to share it around.
Oh, of course.
Cool, Matt. All right, man. We have a good evening.
All right. Yeah. Take it
Thanks,
easy.
Cheers.
Bye.
See ya.